my name is Mila Zhlutenko, and my film is called Opera Glasses, and I'm studying at the University of Television and Film in Munich. Opera Glasses is a short documentary, and I shot it in the Opera House in Kiev, in Ukraine. But it's not about the artists or the singers of the opera, it's about the cloakroom attendants and the guests. So the film shows us only what is happening in the corridors of the opera, but not on the stage or backstage. And it's an observation kind of, so there is no interview or no interaction of me as a director with the people. We are kind of watching what is going on an evening in the opera from the side. I was born in Kiev in Ukraine, and I migrated to Germany when I was 13, so pretty old. I can remember a lot from my home country and from my hometown. And so I went in this opera house already as a child. I think many kids in Kiev go to this opera house when they're small, because everyone kind of has to be there at least once. But I have also a grandmother who was an opera singer. She unfortunately couldn't sing in this opera house. She was doing smaller things. But from her, there came this importance also of the opera house and the opera as an art form. So I remember this place and what is happening there from when I was very little. I remember those winter evenings when it was really cold and we had to take all the nice clothes with us and change there. And when I was then studying already and living in Germany, I visited the opera house again. It was I don't know, 5 or 6 years later, since I haven't seen this place. And it kind of shocked me because I knew it from the childhood, but on one hand, but on the other hand, it was pretty new for me because I kind of only knew from the years before the Western European kind of style of these places, which is more chic, and it separates more into the upper class and the other classes. So you don't have a lot of, I don't know, middle class, or I would say like lower class people go to the opera here. I would say, from my observation, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, and then I had this really interesting experience there. So I saw this place with eyes of a Ukrainian person, but also with eyes of a Western European kind of German person. And it was so interesting that I thought it would be a nice piece to do about. And then this idea was somewhere lying in my head for 2 years until I finally shot the film. Thanks to the dramaturgical build-up of the evening in an opera house, you have kind of like, as you said, secondary places, but also secondary dramaturgical kind of circuit. So the kind of the way the people move through the corridors is very time limited, and therefore there is some weird tension and dramaturgy that evolves from that, because they have to be quick, and actually they're thinking of the things that will happen in the hall, like in a music hall. But by being so busy, they kind of have become artists themselves. So they make themselves look chic, like they put makeup on, they try to look smart and nice, and by doing that they kind of also prepare for this act of watching the opera. But for us as spectators, if you only show the corridors and the outside of the hall, it's a performance itself. So it turns into a performance, a secondary performance that is parallel to the performance in the theater, but that is most of the times overseen because everyone is so centered around the performance of the real artists. Yeah, and so it's a really nice dramaturgical build-up that the evening gives itself for us. We didn't have even to think of a new dramaturgy. So the cloakroom attendants, of course, also had their rituals, as you say. It was very important. They also prepared themselves very carefully for the evening, although they worked there almost like every night. So there was even one woman who had her hair on, I don't know how you call it, but she did this like the lot. She made her hair like look very beautiful every evening. Like every evening she would do that before people would come. And the rituals are really important for everyone there, so the place kind of forces you also to have these rituals, because of this historical building and because of the meaning that it has. um, so yeah, and the cloakroom attendants, they had their own kind of rules, how the evening is going to be and how will they work. When you watch them work also, it's really interesting how they place their this cloakroom discs, you know, the numbers, how they place them on which place, and they have like a real strategy how to do this in order to have order in the end with their workplaces. So it's really professional. It's not just a side job. I have the feeling they take this really seriously, and it's a real important for them to give people who come to the opera a real experience. We went there for 10 evenings to the opera, and we knew that we will need some time to catch some little nice moments, because of course it's a matter of luck, but it's also a matter of our patience. And we talked with our sound recordist and with the director of photography, and we made a proper plan how to do this. So we would stand there and really wait and not move, and hope for something to come a lot of times without even knowing if something will happen. But we tried not to be too fast and to change places too quickly, right? So to give time to some situation to evolve. And what was great is that our sound recordist, it was a really difficult task for him, because the sound in the opera is really hard to differentiate the voices. So we had this talk, and we said, okay, if you hear something that is really good, important, that could be really nice, you can also call us and we will adapt to you. And so with this dialogue that you mentioned, it was him who showed us the way, kind of, who said, okay, there's something happening, it's really interesting. And the director of photography reacted really quickly, and we could catch this moment, as you say. And most of the times we really tried to, so we had like this plan, okay, we need a scene in this floor and in this floor and here and there. So we planned like places, but we didn't know what would happen. We just talked about it, like it might happen this or that. And then a lot of the times we were waiting, just waiting for something to happen. But then things happened in completely different places than we were planning this. So yeah, it was like this triangle between me, the director of photography, and the sound recorders. And then we had a like great team of Ukrainian film students who also worked with us on this project, who were like spies in the opera. They were like walking around and calling us if something would happen. So they were like our eyes and our ears all around us, and they were helping us to find the right angle for that. It was really nice because the director of photography was my German fellow student. And then I was like bilingual with the German and Ukrainian, but we talked English all the time. And then we had the Ukrainian team, who are really great guys who also make a lot of films, and they're really active. So we kind of had this mixed student team, which was really cool. Although the sound recordist is a professional, I don't want to, like, they're all professionals, but he's not a student anymore. He really works for a long time already. The opera glasses are first of all a little side money that the cloakroom attendants can make, but it's also a really important element for the opera guests and for the for the experience. But also for us, we also all the time had the feeling that we are looking through our opera glasses kind of at the people. We are zooming in into little situations that you wouldn't maybe see or pay attention to if you wouldn't like have this zoom in with the opera glass and the focus. So this kind of the way of looking, we thought of it as you say, as a metaphor, as a way of seeing things in this chaos. Because on the scene at the opera, there are a lot of scenes where a lot of people are on the stage, right? And so you choose your little space that you can see with the opera glasses, and that's what we did as well. We were all the time choosing a little frame, a little space that we can see. And then what we also liked about the word glass or glasses is that the opera is full of this crystal glass, and everywhere there's like sparkly opera glasses, really like glasses that are hanging around everywhere from the ceiling and from everywhere. So it was kind of the red thread through our work and through the film. So I think at different stages in our studies, we need different things. Like in the beginning, for example, in our film school, it was really a tight schedule and we were together all the time. And it was really hard, but it was also really good. So I think some kind of intensity in co-working and in building teams is really good for a perfect film school. And then a mixture of big and small projects. So projects with money and possibilities where you can try something big, but also lots of small projects without pressure that don't have to be great, don't have to, I don't know, evolve to a real film. Like a lot of smaller exercises, films, kind of. And then what I would think would be nice is, of course, co-working of all the departments, that you can find friends, but also great partners in your class, in your film school, and connections between older and younger students, so that you have the possibilities to cross each other. And what also is nice, what I like also about our film school is a common basis of film theories and film history, because it gives you a common language with your fellow co-students. You know the same films, you learn the same things, you can communicate, you can give examples that everyone kind of knows from your class. I think this is really great. What else? I think a good mixture of documentary and fiction and forms that are in between. So I think for every documentary director, it's really great to try out to work with actors. And for each fictional director, it's really great to think of like documentary and hybrid films and think of this kind of way of working. Yeah, stuff like this. I don't know, just ideas for this perfect film school. Well, I would say from experience that what really works well is a little bit of entertainment, a high level of complexity, so that you have to think why you're listening, for example, if it's a lecture, but also like signature stories in between, so that you can, for example, remember an anecdote which connects to a theory or to a piece of knowledge that you need to know. So I think like a mixture of really complex and really difficult materials with some entertaining little stories and some points to remember, kind of. And I think a good historical kind of basis and ground. And what would be also good is the parallel telling of history, so that you, for example, if you're telling a history from a Eurocentristic point of view, so, or Western, for example, so you're telling the story and then you at least mention, okay, and so in parallel, this and this and that is happening historically and in arts in other parts of the world, kind of, so that you have a net of knowledge in your head after a lecture like this.